Hello again, Lothar here. We're going to do a very quick video on water filters. Most common topic. You'll hear a lot of people talking about things like this, soy squeeze. You might hear people talking about the Catadine B3. These are probably the most popular. There's a Platypus's brand, there's MSR brands, drinking straws and things like that. Don't bother with the drinking straws. You actually want an ability to basically filter from a dirty water source through a filter and then collect it in a bottle at the other end. If you're using a straw, you go, it's not going to work if you want to cook with your half saliva, half water. So, drinking straws are more for survival, pure survival situations. Now, both of these are based on hollow fibre technology, which allows you to basically filter through. You're going to get someone debates about is this 99.999% or 99.99999%. You're going to hit debates like that. In general, both of these are the most popular filters. They both seem to work fine. So soy squeeze. This allows you to basically pop onto a smart water bottle, something like this, and you basically screw that on. This can be your dirty water bottle, and you can either drink direct and squeeze it through, or you can squeeze it through to another clean bottle. A lot of people use bottles called Knock. Now these are basically bottles like this, which you can fill with water from one at the top. You can basically seal them up, and then you basically apply pressure and you force the water through the filter into a clean section. So these Knock water bottles are very popular. Now you can actually get two sizes. There's one size that fits the soy squeeze, and surprise, surprise, they realise their marketing point of view, they get a wider barrel one. It's just, that particular one, find it. There you go, a wider barrel one like this. Knock water bottle for the Catadine B3. So both of which can benefit, both of which work very well. Now the primary reason why people might choose, say, a soy squeeze over a Catadine B3 is because this one you can backflush. So over time things are going to get clogged up. You might get some debris in there or silt or something like that. Now they supply you with this plastic syringe which allows you to basically fill with water, clean water, and you can basically apply pressure back and backflush the crap out of the filter. So you can extend the life of these. Can't do that with the Catadine B3s. Best you can do is you can take this out, put this in a cup of water or put it in a water bottle and shake it around clean water to clear some of the debris from the outside, but you can't actually force water through to do what I call a proper backflush. So the main difference between these is that a soy squeeze will last you probably pretty much through hike if you look after it. If you are very careful not to put too much silty water through it, if you backflush it regularly, it will work fine. This one will work much faster at the outset, at the start. The flow rate of these, because you have a much more open area for the water to be filtered through, you get a much faster flow rate with these guys. But these degrade gradually over time, such that what you'll find is that you'll probably have to buy another one, maybe about halfway or 3/4 of the way through your hike. I tend to buy two, maybe 2.5, maybe almost 3. These are just 20. These particular elements are just $26, so you can actually replace them. And I don't mind. I like the fast filtering of these. You can basically scoop up, squirt, and squeeze, and it's very fast. These are more where you have to maybe stop more. But a lot of people actually, what they do is they will literally just put that on the top of their water bottle there, leave the dirty water in there, and then filter it as they need it. So that's what people get around. So maybe not need fast watering, you do a fast pickup, but then you just filter it as you go, as you drink it. Other things to be careful of are, particularly with the soy squeezes, that they have a little O-ring there, that if you're going to constantly put that on to a smart water bottle, on off, at some point that O-ring is going to come loose and it will pop off and you won't see it. So what they do is they give you spare O-rings when you buy a soy squeeze, but also I think I've got a bag of a couple of O-rings that you can get from most retailers probably have a couple of spares in their drawers anyway. You may find one in a hiker box, but you can also buy them from any hardware store. They're just hose fitting O-rings, so worth considering. But if you go with either of these filters, you can't go too far wrong. When you're hiking or when you're planning your hike, if you buy one of these and go for a hike and use it, these can dry out in between before you start your thru hike. So what has happened in past years is that people have got on the hike and they find that literally the first day, oh, the filter's not working. It's blocked, and they're throwing these away and buying new ones, or trying to buy new ones, literally after the first day. And all that happened is they've just dried out. And what you need to do is just gently put in. Certainly in this case with the soy squeeze, is you can just take the backflush syringe with some just warm water and just gently push through, and you're just basically remoistening the fibres of the filter. Now, if you've been using this guy for a long time, it's probably got a lot of silt, a lot of crap, and people say, oh, soak it in vinegar and things like that. If it's really got to that stage and you've used it a lot, I would honestly invest in a brand new one for your through hike. That would be my advice. Just buy a new one and start that. The idea of having to recover a fairly old filter, and you know full well you're going to probably have to buy a new one anyway, so I'd start with a new filter if it's that messed up. If it's just dried out, then that's fine. That's probably the most common problem. People might talk about, water bottles. Most people use combinations of smart water bottles. Some people, you might be tempted to use something like this dromedary. I wouldn't use these. These are more for camping. I generally, and I'd also make sure you don't have one major water storage system, because if that fails, that's a lot of your water gone. I would use like a mixtures of 1 litre or a mixture of 1.5 litre bottles. So if you do have a leak of one of them, you don't lose all your water in one go. Whereas if you commit to a large reservoir, that's a risk. I'm also not a fan of bladders inside the pack. I used to do a lot of trail running and events, and they always leak. Eventually, they always leak, and when you have leaks, you just think, oh, why do I bother? Bladders inside your pack, me personally, I would advise against it. But again, you've got to go with what you're used to. Other filters. Now, you may find that you have a disaster. Maybe you're hiking along and you've filtered, and you're in mountains or something, and it's very, very silty, and it's milky, if you like. I'm trying to avoid. You may want to pre-filter, maybe through your mesh, through your clothing. Get rid of some of the debris out if it's very fine. It's very rare you have to do that, but if ultimately you get to the point where you do that and you need water, but you have to use maybe a compromised water source, and you realise, damn, I probably messed up the filter so much, and you have to ultimately invest in a new one. What you find is on trail, it's very hard to actually buy filters on trail unless you're in a big town. Now, a lot of stores actually carry the smaller one. These are the Soya Minis, and people go, ooh. Now, I actually ended up having to buy. I literally had a situation where my filter was so slow, so clogged, and I couldn't. I was actually using the Catadine B3, and I thought, right, let's buy a new one. They didn't have any soya squeezes, they didn't have any Catadine, but they had these Soya Minis. Same system, same O-ring, same principles, just the flow rate slightly slower. I was surprised. I actually could use this, and I actually ended up using this brother somewhere for about 1,000 miles before I got to another big town. I thought, actually, let's investigate. Let's get a new Catadine. So they're not ideal. I definitely always defer to its bigger brother, the Soy Squeeze, if you can. But if you're really, really stuck, these can work. They can work. But anyway. Right, I'm just looking at my notes if there's anything else. Bladders avoid. Oh, that's the other thing. If you find that you've had a disaster, like your filter's gone, or you've lost it, or it's broken in some way, or you've dropped it, I always carry a pack of chlorine dioxide tabs. Now, these are basically chemical treatments, and all I do is I carry enough for maybe a couple of days, such that if I do have a problem with my water filter, I can at least put these little chlorine dioxide tabs to disinfect the water to get me to the next town. Now, obviously, in between, I'm going to be asking the other hikers if I could borrow their filter if that happens, but it's always good to have a backup if you have a problem with your filter. So what can go wrong with your filter? The most common sort of mistakes, as I said, filtering really, really bad silty water, milky water where it's coming off maybe a glacier or something. Try and avoid that. Try and find a tributary where the water's clearer if you can, or pre-filter. And the other thing that can happen a lot is filters can get frozen. So if you are in very, very cold conditions, the residual water in the fibers can, if it freezes, can expand and crack the fibers, and then ultimately the filter becomes useless. So if you think you're going to be sleeping in cold temperatures, get a Ziploc bag like this, pop your filter in it, and just shove it at the bottom of your foot box of your sleep system, just to make sure it doesn't freeze up, and then you should be good to go. Right, I hope that's helpful. Catadine B3 is a good one. Soy squeezer is a good one. I know a lot of people use the platypuses. They sometimes hook up like big bags with gravity feed systems. I've never bothered with that. That's part of the reason I use a Catadine, because I can go squeeze, squeeze, squeeze and get the water I want very quickly. If you're a leisurely hiker and you're quite happy to just leave a bag hanging, you can do gravity systems with a soy squeeze, and you can do gravity systems with, I think you can even do with the Catadine and also the platypus systems as well. You can't go too far wrong if you stick with those major brands, but look after your filter. Speak to you soon.